Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I really appreciate being here today and to speak on this resolution. I want to move to strike the last word to speak in favor. Mr. Chair, first of all, let me just say that, like Congressman Fine, who spoke earlier, public schools did a lot for me. But before I begin, I want to just take a look at this chart, because this chart says everything. It shows how much each state depends on the U.S. Department of Education to fund their public schools. Every red dot, well, that's a state that voted for President Trump. The higher the dot, the more federal help that state gets for its K-12 schools. And what do we see? The highest dots, the most dependent states, they're red. South Dakota, West Virginia, Arkansas, Montana, these states rely on federal education funding to pay their teachers, to keep the buses running, to keep the lights on. So let's be very clear. When this administration says it wants to eliminate the Department of Education, these are the states that will lose the most. And that brings me to this resolution of inquiry, HRES 237, which I do support. This isn't just a political stunt. This resolution is trying to do something important to get answers. The resolution asks for documents and internal communications showing why this administration is cutting staff, shutting down offices, and trying to dismantle the Department of Education. Because right now, it's chaos. States like California, New York can't get reimbursed. Montana's tribal districts haven't received their promised funding. Alabama logged on to the federal payment portal and found it completely shut down. So let me read from a message that I just received last week from a constituent of mine, an employee in the Grants Management and Policy Division of the department. And I quote, "We were all abruptly locked out of our systems. Our duties are critical, mandated by federal statute. There are no others in the department trained to do what we do. We can't respond to OMB. We can't process grant awards. There's no transition plan, no communication, no oversight," end of quote. These aren't just layoffs. These are shutdowns of essential functions that protect billions in federal education funds. So the office, this office constituent holds the legal authority to obligate grant funds, train program officers, and oversee compliance. Now that's a recipe for disaster, for waste, for fraud, and for students who are counting on this support. And so when the administration says that they're just right-sizing the department, I've got to ask, what's the plan? Where the hell is it? If you're gutting the workforce, if you're shutting down systems and tying the hands of the very people that we trust to safeguard taxpayer dollars, then who's making sure our schools are getting what they need? Who's making sure of that? And so I hope my colleagues across the aisle have a plan, because we would certainly like to hear it right here, right now. And what are we being told? Well, that they are severe staffing restraints. Of course there are. Half the department has been laid off. And who pays the price for all of this dysfunction? Not us sitting here in this room. It's the students, it's the teachers, it's the school leaders in every corner of the country, especially in the very states that this chart shows are most vulnerable. So let me just say this loud and clear again. This resolution is not about politics. It's about accountability. And so if the Department of Education is being hollowed out on purpose, if funding delays are happening because there's no one left to move the money, then then Congress has every right to know. And I hope that my colleagues across the aisle, I hope they do have a plan. Because right now, the only plan I'm seeing is to pull the rug out from under our schools and to walk away. And that's not leadership. That's not reform. That's just downright neglect. And so we owe it to our students. We owe it to our schools and to our states to get the facts. Knowledge is power. And we need to stop failing our schools and stop talking about our schools are failing us. We're failing them. And that's why what this resolution is about. We need the answers, and that's what we're trying to do to get the answers. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.